Morning, guys. We're out here just leaving the pier. We're going to be fishing local today. I just want to give you a little rundown of what we're doing. We're going to fish local today, mostly because the wind's going to kick up later on in the morning, and I didn't want to be too far down and have to feed our way back home. And so it'll be an early day. We've been doing pretty good locally here, so I'm hoping to do a repeat on that. It'll be a short run to where we're fishing, so we'll start fishing in the dark, which is always kind of cool. Setting up on our first drift of the morning, fishing in 80 feet of water. Fish commercial rockfish, 12 months out of the year, on limited entry rockfish permits. And we do it mostly with rod and reel. We have other methods we could use, but this seems to work the best for us most days. And our goal is to catch rockfish, keep them live, and sell them to the fish wholesaler. So that's what we're out to. Still metering some good fish down here. If we can get them to bite. Yeah, looking at the screen, I feel like, what are we doing wrong? I can't believe it didn't get good on that. So you notice that I wound in and cast back out. What I try to do is cast ahead of the boat, so that way as my lures are falling, by the time I get parallel to, oh, Cullen's on. By the time we get parallel, by the time it hits bottom, I'm actually perpendicular to the lure, so I'm fishing it right here next to the boat. It's kind of one of the things we do. You have to, when we're fishing rockfish, you have to keep that lure close on the bottom. If you get off the bottom at all, you're not going to get the species that we're looking for. You'll end up getting blues, olives, yellowtail rockfish, and reds. Reds will be suspended off the bottom, but what we're looking for is predominantly gopher cod, cabezon, lings, and the main thing we're targeting is bolina, or what we call browns. Still metering. Oh, we've got there. We've got the right kind. So, in order to keep them live, this is a bolina. In order to keep them live, we have to decompress them. So we stick a needle in the swim bladder, push out all the air. You can kind of hear the air escaping. And then put them in the frame. That's what we're looking for, bolina. And then we mark them. Oh, there's another one. Do this all day. Pretty good. There's about 98 more of those. I'm having a great day. 98 more of those and about twice as big. Right there. Big fatties. One of the things I love about being out here is watching the sunrise, man. It never gets old watching the sun come up in the morning. Beautiful, fresh air, peaceful. The only thing that mucks it up is you guys. Peaceful and quiet. Oh, hey, Mark. Oh, here we go. Oh, that feels like the right kind. Each species of rockfish, they fight a little different. You never know what you're going to bring up, but over time, through experience, you kind of get a feel for what the different species feel like. This might actually be a gopher cod. First little struggle that it gave me, it felt like a brown. Could be a small brown. We do wind them up slow to keep them from getting the bends. Yeah, that's what I thought. It's a gopher cod. That's alright, we'll keep them too. They're equal opportunity fish slayers. Right?
That's right. They all pay.
They all pay. Well, not all of them, but most of them.
Gophers pay really well.
Gophers pay really well.
They're just not.
Although that one's about as big as the round we got already. Notice that when we're fishing, in order to keep that lure all on the bottom, we're constantly engaging and disengaging the spool to let out more line or take it in. Super important to keep that lure touching or right off the bottom. It does involve getting hung up. You'll probably see us get hung up a little bit today. That's just kind of part of the dangers. You got to not be afraid to lose some gear. As time goes on, I'll show you guys what we use. It's not too, there we go, not too complicated. And we try to keep it cheap. So as time goes on, I'll show you guys what we use. A little bit of fin bait at about 30 feet. There's no size limit on Bellina, but gophers have to be 10 inches. We have a little scale here. That will measure. You do have to measure. There's other species that have size limits. We'll talk about that as we catch them.
Looks like an 8.
You never know what we're going to catch. And this was, we literally were getting ready to move and Kevin brought this up. Not sure what it is. It's some kind of, I don't know, tube worm or a sea anemone or something. Again, you never know what kind of crazy.
In the center, it's like you ate it.
This is actually pretty cool, and a lot of times they come up as like big white blobs, but that was pretty cool. We'll send it back down, hopefully it'll reattach. Second drift, and that first drift's always hardest because you don't know what your drift angle is going to be. So now that I got a little bit of info as to which way we're going to drift, I noticed that there's a section of the reef that kind of parallels that same drift. And that's always good because I like to fish the edges of the reef. So we're going to try to, I haven't looked at the bottom yet to see what kind of fish marks we have, but I'm going to look, I want to try it out because we're going to literally drift down the edge of this reef for quite a ways here, probably a good 200 yards or so. We'll give it a look. I guess I should probably introduce you guys. So, the big guy behind me here, this is Kevin. If you ever fish sport fishing out here on any of the 3 sport boats, you might run into Kevin. And Kevin's on right now. He can't get enough of fishing when he's not working with me. He's fishing on sport boats. And so, great guy to know. Give you a lot of good tips if you can prime out of them. And then the other guy over here, that's my son, Cohen. The main deckhand as far as helping with all the boat work and stuff. Kevin's actually my main deckhand. Kevin's actually director of human resources. If you nice little baby wing. If you want to try to make your way onto the boat here, you got to get past Kevin first. So that's a baby ling. Ling cod have to be 12 or 24 inches commercially, 22 inches if you're fishing sport. So that one's going to go back in the water after Kevin carefully removes it. And then I got the, when I'm looking at the meter though, it looks like it's probably blues. I don't know, hopefully I was underneath them.
Big giant shrimp.
He made him cough up his lunch.
Big giant shrimp.
Oh yeah. Crazy. Oh no, this is what we're looking for. Brown.
all that right there.
I was
down.
underneath it when we rolled up on it.
That's a gauntlet right there.
Yeah. I'd show you my screen, but there's some trade secrets on that screen that I don't know if I want to divulge. Like exactly where we're at. Fishing rockfish. You know, there's that phrase that I've heard them say, like if you've missed by an inch, you missed by a mile. Rock fishing is like that. And so I got all my spots all marked out where I like to go. If I showed you my screen, I'd end up showing you all my spots. I don't know, maybe you guys get lucky and I'll give you guys a screenshot. Not a bad start to the morning. You on? Huh? No, I'm not going off. I keep getting blue. Keep getting blue? Well, we rolled off them now, so hopefully. You got blue? We'll keep them today. Sometimes we keep blue rockfish, sometimes we don't. Blue rockfish are not a species that we target or keep alive. They only pay $2 a pound, but they go against the same quota as the Ballina and treefish, and so I'd much rather keep Ballina and treefish because I can make 5 times more money on them. And if I'm at all thinking that I might run out of quota at the end of the quota period, I'll not keep food. But they actually taste really good. We've done taste tests on fish tacos, and it's the second most popular fish on the taste test. Why we only get $2 a pound for them, I have no idea. They're common, but you just think that people will be all over it, but I don't know. The other reason why I like blues is like if I have to clean fish, they're actually one of the easier rockfish to clean, right?
Oh,
Well, if you gotta cut fish and you want to cut blues all day long, cut blues, I'd hand pick them. If I was working with somebody at the table, I'd be like grabbing all the blues and like, here, you can get all the gopher cod. The gopher cod suck to clean. And they got pokies. You know, like pokies. Oh, look at that. Kevy's on. Oh, Kevy's off. Yeah, but we're actually over a good patch of rock for browns. They might not show up on the meter. But I'll bet you money that they don't. I just got throttled. Come on. Throttled twice. Probably out there. It's not very big though. I think we rolled over the nursery right there. Somebody will like that one though. Those little ones are tender.
Yeah, well, you did too. I thought you just
Yep, we rolled over the nursery. Throw a towel on it, I'll get it. You got throttled too, huh? No, and then it went into the rock. Oh, yeah. There we go. I don't know, should I punch 2 or 1? Pretty small. This is like a chicken morsel right here. Guess we got to punch 2 so we can know our average. So today I'm kind of letting the camera roll so you can kind of get an idea of how things go. And there's probably some downtime. in between casts. You know, it might get a little boring. I don't know, we'll see how it goes in the edit. But let me know in the comments if you want to just see us fish, just, you know, have the deck camera rolling, or if you're more into just seeing when we actually catch fish or poke a nice fish. Yeah, let me know. For me, this is just about sharing my awesome life. I get a lot of people everywhere I go. When they find out what I do, they're like, "Oh, really?" And they start asking tons of questions. Like I was at church yesterday. The first 3 guys I talked to, "So you been fishing? You fishing?" Yeah, I mean, I'll last a couple days. So I figured, you know, I might as well put everything on YouTube and everybody will get an idea what we do out here. Although, I imagine we'll have to beat people off with a stick. I don't want to come out fishing with it.
Leave it alone.
Already? Alright. This is our 3rd drift in the morning. I went ahead and moved up kind of high up on the reef because with this breeze we're actually drifting pretty quick, and so we'll be able to cover a lot of ground. It'll help us to kind of narrow down where the bulk of the baleen are. We kind of want to try to stay on those baleen as much as possible. Turn the deck light off, but it's still not bright enough. Got a little brighter. Sun's coming up. I'll give you guys a little. Welcome to my office. This is what I get to see in the morning. It's beautiful. So that was a prime example of that old adage, you miss by an inch, you miss by a mile. Went up ahead on the reef a little bit farther than I had metered fish, thinking that we were going to drift fast because the wind is going at a pretty good clip today. And we didn't move as fast as we wanted. So I just bumped ahead a little bit, get us back in that fish zone. I want to be on the fish. It's really hard to catch fish when there's no fish there. So, and the fish aren't like, they're not covering the bottom like fleas on carpet, you know, they're not just everywhere. So you got to kind of be where the fish are. So having a good set of electronics is key, and good boat handling skills is key. And constantly be watching your drift angle, which way you're drifting. I do it kind of old school. I just kind of see where my drift angles are, and I'm watching the meter as the chart plotters were going along, and staying moving in the direction or drifting in the direction that I want to cover. Bruno has a really cool feature. It's called Drift It. If you can't figure out exactly where you need to position the boat in order to drift over a particular spot, you can actually use this feature on there called Drift It. That'll tell you where to go, where to start in order to drift over the spots that you want to hit. It requires a few pushes of the button and stuff, and you've got to give your chart plotter a little bit of time to figure out your angle. And for me, it's just easier to just do it in my head, do it by intuition, or I guess you could call it skill. Maybe, I don't know. Is it called skill? No, on my part, it's probably not called skill. It's called getting lucky all the time.
Getting lucky 100% of the time.
What's that? What's that?
You're getting lucky 100% of the time. That's not lucky.
It's skill. One of my kids, I think it was Kyle or Cole, always used to talk about skill and precision. I don't know. I think in fishing it's a lot of luck and tow, time on water. That's what I call it. Yeah. If you're struggling with fishing, about the best thing you could ever do is just fish a lot. I mean, take Kevin for instance, you know, I mean, Kevin was just a mediocre fisherman, but you know, you put him on the boat 5, 6, 7 days a week, he's actually gotten pretty good at it. Even Cohen's gotten pretty good because of tow, time on the water. Me, on the other hand, I'm still trying to figure this out. Turns out I'm not going to be able to let that camera just roll because I ain't got enough battery for that. So, anyway, we're filming, ran into some reds there, and yeah, and yawn all over the place. That was a classic example of a dead stick. I laid it on the bottom while I punched that fish. And as soon as I lifted up that lure off the bottom, bam, I was on. Kevin thinks that those ballinas sit on the bottom, and if you let a lure sit on the bottom like that, that they're staring at it, you know, like one eye down, looking at it, waiting for it to move, like almost like I dare you to move. And as soon as you move that lure, they're on. On like Donkey Kong. I said, Kevin, Calico King. Oh, look at this.
I like my double better.
Yeah, your double is way better. So, I only got 2 browns. And I got a brown and an alt.
That says all for it.
So that's, did you mark 3 going?
Didn't mark mine, no.
Did you mark 3? I had one here too. That was a good mark. Maybe should hit that again, huh?
Yeah, there was a little crack going on right there.
Yep. It's in the living home. We might reposition here. In an effort to save battery life, I keep turning the camera on, but I just hung something nice. Let's see what it is. It's got a little bit of weight to it. Kevin, you on? No? I can't overstate the importance of having a good sensitive rod. Be able to just double brown. And the reason for that is so that you can know what it is that you're on. Without a sensitive rod, you can't feel when you're hitting bottom. You can't feel when you're hung up, or if you got, you know, even if you've got
You can tell what your lure is doing by the rod. Yeah.
Yep.
Big difference. And braid. Sensitive rod and braid.
Yep.
Think about it.
One. both of those fish near the eye sockets. I think they're doing what you're saying. They're just like eyeballing it, you know?
They're not. Yeah.
Quite literally. Quite literally. Double red. I'll keep you updated. Just wanted to show you this nice brown beauty. Just so you know, it's not even 7 o'clock, and we've already got, this is 17 and 18 on the browns. It's gonna take me a second, there's a lot of air in there. Baby butcher. Nice brown right there. You missed out on that bite, though. Right, there'll be another one coming up. Alright, we're going to reposition here in just a second. Giving you an update, we're on our 5th drift of the morning. And so far it's been biting pretty good. Got 18 browns on the boat, 5 gophers, 5 reds. For 5 drifts it's not bad. So we're going to be rolling up on the zone. Again, I can't emphasize enough that it's all about fishing productive water. Got to have some good electronics, and got to get out there and spend some time finding where these fish like to hang out. Even just finding rock isn't good enough. You got to find the rock that presents the type of structure that they like to hang out at. If there's some rock that like roll over it and never catch fish on it. Other rock, for whatever reason, it's like the drive-in movie theater. You know, you roll through there and it's like, you know, nail fish every time. So that is key, knowing where you're fishing. One of the other things I like to do, if I drop down on a spot and I don't get bit right away, kind of wonder what's up. And if you notice there, my teaser was fouled. So I'll pick it up and I'll recast it. I'll do the same thing if in my mind, I figure that when I drop it on the spot, anything within a 5-foot radius is going to key in on that lure. If they're biting that day, they're going to strike that lure. If I don't get a bit in a minute or so, I'll pick up and move my lure to a different 5-foot patch of rock. Can't emphasize it enough. You got to put the lures in front of. You got to put the lures in front of the fish, or you're never going to get them to strike. The things I wanted to emphasize, it's just been a minute since I turned off the camera before, but in keeping with that whole idea that you got to get the lure near the fish, same thing applies with having that lure right on the bottom. If you don't have that lure right on the bottom or within inches off that bottom, you're not in the zone. And if you're not in the zone, you're not going to get bit. It's probably, wouldn't you say that's probably the most common thing that you see on a sport boat? People drop down
let it
and
touch the bottom and then never change, and then you drift and get an angle and you're way off the bottom, and then you wonder why you're not getting bit.
yeah, you wind off the bottom, you're gonna catch, you'll catch fish. You know, you're still gonna get fish, but those are the types of fish where that we're not necessarily targeting. You're gonna get the blues and the olives and the reds. They'll suspend up off the bottom. But the quality rockfish that we're looking for, these browns and gopher cod, treefish, things like that, they're all on the bottom. Cabezon, they're all on the bottom. Wings, they're everywhere. They'll be everywhere now. Alright. 704 and 20 browns on the boat. Number 6. I just threw one in the barrel. Cabezon again. Same. It's oh, I haven't got an olive yet. Yeah. Oh, someone's got one. I'm looking at a meter full of olives. I don't know how I made it past that maze.
They were rattling it all the way. I kept pulling it away from them. This
Do that.
bottom too, though, man.
Yeah. I got to the bottom, believe it or not. Felt like I ran the gauntlet.
Wow, they were rattling it all the way.
And won.
I don't know how you made it through.
I don't know how I made it through either. I got bumped a couple times. So I got picked up.
Oh, they're already on it. Leave it alone.
Starting that one. So the bass reels that we use are actually a high speed. What are they, 8-to-1?
Yeah,
They're the 8-to-1 ratio, and there's a lot of people in this industry that are like, oh, you can't use a reel that's high speed like that because you bring up the fish too fast and then you kind of blow them up. Us, on the other hand, we like those high speed reels because if we're not in the zone, we're not in that, you know, right on the bottom, time is money, and we want to get our gear up so that we can cast and fish again. And so we burn it high speed coming up, and we just know, we just become accustomed to, if we hook up a fish, we wind it slow, so we can kind of control the speed. So with the high speed reel, we have the ability to burn it and retrieve high speed if we need to, but we can also control that slow speed when we have fish on, so we don't blow them up. Just another little trick that we've honed over the years. Still picking away at the browns. Still on drift number 6. Oh man, I was just gonna poke the bear and ask you for a pro tip, but I guess the pro tip is catch fish.
Keep your string in the water. Can't get bit if you ain't down there.
Can't get bit if you're not fishing either. Well, you can get bit, just not by a fish. Yeah. Mosquitoes are getting kind of fierce these days.
There are different ones. There was little teeny tiny striped ones last year, and now there's a big giant one.
I never looked at it. Jeez, I can't even get in the water. These guys are throwing fish my way. 30th one. Another good day. Probably get bored seeing this. Turn the camera off for a sec, save batteries, and we just laid 3 or 4 more on. The grade's pretty good today. Can't lie, these are nice fish. And it's currently 7:34. Hey, we could be done by 10 o'clock today. I don't even think the fish buyers get in so far. We'll be like, we haven't even got to work yet. I had to turn the camera back on. One of the hazards about fishing rockfish, if you're in the zone, you're going to get hooked up on rocks. And I just hooked up my jig on a rock, and I don't know, I twitched on it for a good solid 30 seconds or so trying to get it free, and then I started tugging on it and it wouldn't come free. So I started pulling hard on it, trying to break it off, and I got it free, and then lo and behold, I had a GoPro on it too. So one of the things we see happen a lot, guys, you get hung up that trying to twitch it off excites a bite by the other rockfish or and you end up with a little bonus. In this case, I got a bonus GoPro. We just got into a school of red, or blue. Just picked off a nice red. It looks pretty good on the meter, so I figured I'd show you what it's like to catch a Vermillion rockfish. There we go. Brown. Oh, he just got off. So back down. See if we can get his brother to bite. Come on, you can do it. I know, huh? They're like right there. Don't be shy.
Come on.
There we go. There we go. Oh, it's just lost in too. I think I got one of them dull hooks or something. Right there. Keep wanting to lift and lay perpendicular to the swell. There we go.
Yeah, it's like
It's kind of weird, huh? So here we go. Hopefully I'll keep this one pinned on. Only lasts like 3 in a row.
come on.
Doesn't feel too big. You on, Cohen? Oh. You pulled your pants off.
One hook was had no pants. The other hook was foul. Single hook.
See if I can do that again. And again. And again. Kind of drifting off my spot there. The wind died down a little bit, and the current will change a little bit during the course of the morning. And so we're not drifting exactly the same we were this morning. So kind of have to make some adjustments as to where I start out to make sure we're hitting the spot I want to hit. Alright, we're going to reposition. Go down a little bit, so we, and the drift angle changed like dramatically. Like 90 degrees. So I'm having to fish a little different section of this rock here so that we can catch that edge. And this will be our first drop on this new drift angle, so we'll see what it does. Leave the camera roll for a second and see if we do like what I hope we're going to do. One of the things I'm going to do right now too, because the wind's kind of getting a little goofy and spinning around in a lot of different directions, so I'm going to put one piece of set gear up, have it ready to go, queued up in the puller to set it as a marker, so if we start getting into some browns, I'll know exactly where they're at. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Cohen's on one already. So hopefully this will work. I'll show you how all that whole system works here. We're going. We haven't got double. One of those. Look at that. You see that? Kevin had caught a calico, and then that brown was on that same one, same lure. I went ahead and deployed one of my pieces of set here to mark that spot. We didn't pick up as many. Did you mark that brown too?
Yeah.
We didn't pick up as many fish as I thought. The wind and the current aren't wanting to stay aligned, so making it a little hard to figure out where we're going to go. At this point we have 52 browns, 7 reds, and 6 gopher cod. Not a bad day, and it's 9:15. It's not quite 10 o'clock, but the wind's picking up like I thought it would. We're going to do a couple more drifts here, then head in. Not too bad. We got 8 reds, 55 browns, 7 gophers, and some miscellaneous blues and all. Last drift of the day, probably. Kevin just picked up a nice red. Need it tomorrow. Maybe we can pick up a few more. I just got one. Picked up a few reds here at the last minute. Get this, run this one in. Going. The wind kicked up. It's just really hard to fish. We're drifting at almost 2 knots. So it's real hard to keep lures on the bottom. This is probably why we're whacking reds now. But it's okay. It's red. And it's just barely 10:01. So you get an idea of our work day. Right in the eyeball. Right in the eye socket even. Alright, I lied to you last time. The last drift wasn't the last one. And this might be the last drift, or it might not. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. This is the absolute last drift. I know I keep saying that, but we keep walking a few more here and there and it just keeps adding up. We're over 60 now. It's hard to leave fish when they're biting. And it's not like it's not early. We're way early. It's still just barely, like not even 11 o'clock yet. We're having to hover a little bit. Kevin's on. They're right below us going. So I can see him on the monitor. We've got enough wind now that I can keep it in reverse and hover over a spot. A little bit of driving. Not much. There we go. I got one. So, yeah. You got one too? Yeah, took a little bit of driving. The hover method. You got to have enough wind. you have enough wind to counteract the reverse thrust, and then you can kind of hover in the same spot. There we go. A nice little brown. We're heading in. It's getting a little sporty. We kept hitting that same little spot. I found one last spot that had some browns on there, so we kept hitting over it, and then the wind was enough to where we could kind of back into it and kind of hover over that spot. So we managed 64, 65 browns, something like that, for the day. Not too bad. It's still not even 11 o'clock in the morning. Heading in, and I will try to give you an update once we offload. So once we get tied up to the pier, we take the lids off the barrels and then we net them out. I'm going to climb up to the top there and lower down a couple of baskets, and then we'll hoist it up. We ended the day, it's like fairly 11:20. We already offloaded. Don't know if I got footage of that. I'll try, but ended the day with 150 pounds. Great, it's a great day for being we're fishing where we were. So anyways, give you a little shot of the deck of the boat. Beautiful day. It's a little breezy, but other than that, it's a beautiful day. It's not even noon and I get to go home. So ready to cut us loose? Ready to cut us loose.